Afterward, Moses and Aaron went in and told Pharaoh,
"Thus says the Lord God of Israel, let my people go, that they may hold a feast to me in the wilderness."
Who is the Lord, that I should obey his voice to let Israel go? I do not know the Lord, nor will I let Israel go.
The God of the Hebrews has met with us. Please, let us go 3 days' journey into the desert and sacrifice to the Lord our God, lest he fall upon us with pestilence or with the sword.
Moses and Aaron, why do you take the people from their work? Get back to your labor. Look, the people of the land are many now, and you make them rest from their labor.
So the same day, Pharaoh commanded the taskmasters of the people and their officers,
You shall no longer give the people straw to make brick as before. Let them go and gather straw for themselves, and you shall lay on them the quota of bricks which they made before. You shall not reduce it, for they are idle. Therefore they cry out, saying, Let us go and sacrifice to our God. Let more work be laid on the men, that they may labor in it, and let them not regard false words.
And the taskmasters of the people and their officers went out and spoke to the people.
Thus says Pharaoh, I will not give you straw. Go, get yourselves straw where you can find it. Yet
he sounds like that guy who played, the actor who passed away. I think he played Kingpin in that Ben Affleck Daredevil movie. And he was in a different movie. It was a different movies. I think it sounds like that guy.
So the people were scattered abroad throughout all the land of Egypt to gather stubble instead of straw. And the taskmasters forced them to hurry.
Fulfill your work, your daily quota, as when there was straw.
Also, the officers of the children
he played a eunuch in One Night with the King.
Israel, whom Pharaoh's taskmasters had set over them, were beaten and were asked,
Why have you not fulfilled your task in making brick both yesterday and today, as before?
Then the officers of the children of Israel came and cried out to Pharaoh, saying,
Why are you dealing thus with your servants? There is no straw given to your servants, and they say to us, Make brick. And indeed, your servants are beaten, but the fault is in your own people.
You are idle.
But they weren't even there.
Therefore you say, Let us go and sacrifice to the Lord. Therefore go now and work, for no straw shall be given you. Yea, you shall deliver the quota.
I'm surprised that they actually came directly to Pharaoh. The officers of the children of Israel came directly to Pharaoh. I'm surprised they even have that ability to do that.
And the officers of the children of Israel saw that they were in trouble after it was said, You shall not reduce any bricks from your daily quota. Then, as they came out from Pharaoh, they met Moses and Aaron, who stood there to meet them. And they said to them,
Let the Lord look on you and judge, because you have made us abhorrent in the sight of Pharaoh and in the sight of his servants, to put.
You were already abhorrent in the sight of Pharaoh. Remember, your shepherds. Because in our previous reading, we found out that the Egyptians looked down upon shepherds.
The sword in their hand to kill us.
So Moses returned to the Lord.
Lord, why have you brought trouble on this people? Why is it you have sent me? For since I came to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has done evil to this people. neither have you delivered your people at all.
Yeah, I would feel so bad if I was Moses in that situation. Like after all that, you're already insecure about yourself. You don't even want to do this, and then you just make everything worse. But I just want to say before we continue on to chapter 6, yesterday we were talking about what Moses' name could have been. I mean, if you want to know the reasoning behind it, go ahead and check out that video, yesterday's stream. But it since they named the children after gods, right? Like Ramses is named after Ra, like born of Ra. The Messiah is born of, and you have the Ra, which is of Ra, the god. And we came up with a few choices for Moses' name, but I'm also thinking it could be this, right? Because he was pulled out of the Nile, and then the Nile god is Hapi, or it could be pronounced Hep, right? So his name could be Hepmeses or Hapimeses or something like that. So that's interesting too. Hepmeses.
Then the Lord said to Moses,
Now you shall see what I will do to Pharaoh. For with a strong hand he will let them go, and with a strong hand he will drive them out of his land. I am the Lord. I appeared to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob as God Almighty, but by my name Lord I was not known to them. I have also established my covenant with them, to give them the land of Canaan, the land of their pilgrimage, in which they were strangers.
Okay, see, this is what I don't understand right here. Yeah, you appeared to Abraham and you gave him that land and all that stuff, right? But you encouraged them to leave that land and come to Egypt. You said you will be with them and you will bless them. And then this happened. So, like, I mean, I get it. The children of Israel went there during the famine, right? And Jacob wasn't sure about going, right? And then God, like, don't be scared, go, I'll bless you and all that. So they went. But you knew this was going to happen. God knew this was going to happen. So why didn't he call them out of Egypt when famine ended? Why wait till now? And yesterday's reading, we sort of found out why we're waiting until now. Because God hardened Pharaoh's heart, right? And he said he will harden them in order and to show his signs, right? He gave a whole list of signs. First do the snake, turning the rod into snake, then put your hand in your cloak and take it out and it'll turn to leprosy and whatever. And then the third was if those two don't work, take some water out of the Nile, pour it on the ground, and I'll turn it into blood. If all those don't work, he's just gonna go and do even more signs. And he said he'll harden Pharaoh's heart so that they will see those signs. So he knew from the get-go that the rod is not going to work, the leprosy is not going to work, the water to blood is not going to work. And he knew when Jacob was coming to Egypt that all this is going to happen. Yet he said, don't be scared, go. So I feel like there's something missing that we don't have here. Because that does not really make sense to me.
And I have also heard the groaning of the children of Israel, whom the Egyptians keep in bondage. And I have remembered my covenant. Therefore, say to the children of Israel, I am the Lord. I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. I will rescue you from their bondage. And I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and with great judgments. I will take you as my people, and I will be your God. Then you shall know that I am the Lord your God, who brings you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. And I will bring you into the land which I swore to give to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And
You're
I will
already
give
living
it to
in it.
you as a heritage. I am the Lord.
So Moses spoke thus to the children of Israel, but they did not heed Moses, because of anguish of spirit and cruel bondage. And the Lord spoke to Moses,
Go in, tell Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to let the children of Israel go out of his land.
and Moses spoke before the Lord,
The children of Israel have not heeded me. How then shall Pharaoh heed me, for I am of uncircumcised lips?
Then the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, and gave them a command for the children of
That's
Israel,
a
and
interesting
for Pharaoh,
choice of words.
king of Egypt, to bring the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. These are the heads of their fathers' houses. The sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel, were Hanok, Palu, Hezron, and Carmi. These are the families of Reuben. And the sons of Simeon were Jemuel, Jamin, Ohad, Jachin, Zohar, and Shaul, the son of a Canaanite woman.
Shaul.
These are the families of Simeon. These are the names of the sons of Levi, according to their generations: Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. And the years of the life of Levi were 137. The sons of Gershon were Libni and Shimei, according to their families. And the sons of Kohath were Amram, Izhar, Hebron, and Uzziel. And the years of the life of Kohath were 133. The sons of Merari were Malai and Mushai.
Still getting
These
over
are the
120
families of
years.
Levi, according to their generations. Now Amram took for himself Jochebed, his father's sister, as wife, and she bore him Aaron and Moses. And the years of the life of Amram were 137. The sons of Izhar were Korah, Nepheg, and Zichri. And the sons of Uzziel were Mishael, Elzaphan, and Zithri. Aaron took to himself Elisheba, daughter of Amminadab, sister of Nahshon, as wife.
Wait, I'm gonna check this out real quick.
Aaron 36.
So where is it now? Amram took himself Jochebed. So Amram was the sons of Kohath were Amram, right? And the sons of Levi. Kohath was the son of Levi. These are the families of Simeon. These are the names of the sons of Levi. Okay, Levi was one of the tribes, right? So remember when in Genesis, when Jacob was talking about all his sons, and sort of foreshadowing what was going to come? I want to see what he said about Levi. Simeon and Levi are brothers. Instruments of cruelty are in their dwelling place. Let not my soul enter their council. Let not my honor be united to their assembly. For in their anger they slew men, and in their self-will they hamstrung an ox. Cursed be their anger, for it's fierce, and their wrath, for it's cruel. I will divide them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel. So he didn't really bless their line. We got Moses from them. Interesting.
7. The sons of Izhar were Dan, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar.
And Aaron took himself Elisheba, daughter of Amminadab, sister of Nahshon, as wife, and she bore him Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, Ithamar.
And the sons of Korah were Azar, Elkanah, and Abiasaph. These are the families of the Korahites. Eleazar, Aaron's son, took for himself one of the daughters of Putiel as wife, and she bore him Phinehas.
Phineas and
These
Ferb?
are the heads of the fathers' houses of the Levites, according to their families. These are the same Aaron and Moses, to whom the Lord said,
Bring out the children of Israel from the land of Egypt according to their armies.
These are the ones
Well,
who
Moses
spoke
did
to
have an
Pharaoh,
angry problem,
king
right?
of Egypt, to bring out
that's,
the children of Israel
similar
from
to Levi and
Egypt.
Simeon.
These are the same, Moses and Aaron. And it came to pass, on the day the Lord spoke to Moses in the land of Egypt, that the Lord spoke to Moses, saying,
I am the Lord. Speak to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, all that I say to you.
Behold, I am of uncircumcised lips, and how shall Pharaoh heed me?
Wow, we're getting through this pretty fast. We're on 7 already.
See, I have made you as God to Pharaoh, and Aaron your brother shall be your prophet.
What? So the Lord said to Moses, See, I have made you as God to Pharaoh, and Aaron shall be your prophet. What? Like a representative of God? But he said as God. Like God. Like he's representing God? Or, let's see what it says. These verses repeat the issues of chapter 4, verse 10 and 17. Repetition with variation. These verses, they're talking about 1 and 2. Repetition with variation is a part of Hebrew prose style to show emphasis. Okay, that makes a lot of sense because we've been seeing a lot of repetition in Genesis also. And it's the same author, Moses. Okay. So you as God, what does that mean? As Moses was the prophet of the Lord, so Aaron became Moses' prophet. Aaron would speak for Moses, for a prophet was the mouth of the one who sent him or her. Okay, so by saying, See, I have made you as God to Pharaoh, he's saying, I've made you a prophet of me. But then why not say that? I guess it has to be. I mean, he's literally not God, right? So just as God, like God. I'm a guy who walks with God, right? Who represents God in the situation.
You shall speak all that I command you, and Aaron your brother
Okay. He's just being a vessel, right? So that's why, as God.
shall tell Pharaoh to send the children of Israel out of his land. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart and multiply my signs and my wonders.
That's what I was talking about. He's hardening Pharaoh's heart and multiplying his signs and wonders in the land of Egypt, right? Why? If throwing the snake on the ground, throwing the rod on the ground, turning it into a snake was enough, and Pharaoh's like, whoa, that is sort of freaky. All right, Israelites, you can leave now. Why go through all this to the point where every firstborn of the Egyptians died? Why? Why harden Pharaoh's heart in order to multiply your signs and wonders? Let's see if this Bible has to say anything. I will harden Pharaoh's heart. It was in God's plan that Pharaoh would be flexibly stubborn, thus setting the scene for God to deliver his people by powerful signs and wonders. The word sign may be used to describe a reminder, a memorial, or a symbol, as in chapter 3, verse 12. But here it speaks of a pledge or attestation of God's presence. The term wonder similarly describes a special display of God's power. These two words paired together mean irrefutable works. God would demonstrate his power and authenticate his agents. Okay, see, why does he need to do that? I brought up the example yesterday with Jesus, jumping down from the temple and letting the angels catch him to prove that, he's the Son of God. But he was like, no, I'm not doing that, right? Because that's like doing a magic trick. It's like God saying, hey, look, I can do this magic trick. And then now, oh my gosh, look, you're so shocked. Now you can believe me, right? Right? That's then it takes away the whole point of faith, right? So why does God feel the need to demonstrate his powers to authenticate his agents? Who are his agents? Authenticate his agents, Moses and Aaron, with such works. He needs to validate Moses and Aaron so that they will listen to them. But, okay, so if you want to authenticate, but see, remember, this is a commentary, right? This is not what the Bible is actually saying. If you want to authenticate Moses and Aaron by doing these signs, why harden his heart? Why harden Pharaoh's heart? If you're able to get the children of Israel to leave Egypt with, maybe, turning the Nile to blood for a couple hours, why not do that? Why wait till the point where they suffer boils and locusts and frogs, having the children die, and then release them? I don't understand that. We can look that up. Let's look that up because we're already on chapter 7. Let's look it up. Why did God harden Pharaoh's heart? I keep misspelling. Oh no, I did. I spelled it right. Okay. Right? Why would God harden Pharaoh's heart just so he could judge Egypt more severely with additional plagues? That's exactly what I'm asking. Okay, first, Pharaoh was not an innocent or godly man. All right, but what about the rest of Egypt? He was a brutal dictator overseeing the terrible abuse and oppression of the Israelites. But about tit for tat, right? God's not, I guess God can do whatever he wants. He can punish people who deserve to be punished. That's fine. He was a brutal dictator overseeing the terrible abuse and oppression of the Israelites, who likely numbered over 1.5 million people at the time. Wow. Egyptian pharaohs had enslaved the Israelites for 400 years. As previous. Actually, I don't see that. Did we see that? Them mentioning the 400 years? I don't recall that being mentioned. Maybe we didn't get to that part. Maybe they'll say, wow, for 400 years we've been in bondage after they get released. So we'll see. A previous pharaoh, possibly even the pharaoh in question, ordered the male Israelite babies be killed at birth. The pharaoh God hardened was an evil man, and the nation he ruled with, or at least did not oppose his evil action. Okay, so because they didn't oppose his evil actions, it's fine to kill them. I don't know about that. Second, on least a couple occasions, Pharaoh hardened his heart against letting the Israelites go. But when Pharaoh saw that there was relief, he hardened his heart. Wow. So when Pharaoh was like, okay, fine, God hardened his heart. But this time also Pharaoh hardened his heart. Okay, so is he hardening Pharaoh's heart, or is this a way of Moses describing Pharaoh's behavior? Like Pharaoh was like, okay, you know what, maybe I should let them go. And then he's like, you know what, no, I'm not letting them go. And that's Moses' way. And then he's saying God hardened Pharaoh's heart, right? Because that's just Moses' way of writing it. Because all the things that happen are according to God's plan, right? So Pharaoh becoming stubborn would be according to God's plan. So In that way, God hardened Pharaoh's heart because it's according to his plan. Right? So, I don't know. You could think of it that way. But this time also Pharaoh hardened his heart. It seems that God and Pharaoh were both active in one way or another in the hardening of Pharaoh's heart. As the plagues continued, God gave Pharaoh increasingly severe warnings of the final judgment to come. Pharaoh chose to bring further judgment on himself and his nation by hardening his own heart against God's commandments. It could be that as a result of Pharaoh's hard-heartedness, God hardened Pharaoh's heart even further, allowing for the last few plagues and bringing God's full glory into view. I don't agree with that. Pharaoh and in Egypt had brought these judgments on themselves with 400 years of slavery and mass murder. You don't judge the masses for the crimes of the few. Since the wages of sin is death, and Pharaoh in Egypt had horribly sinned against God, what about all the firstborn, right? A little boy could have been a firstborn. It would have been just if God had completely annihilated Egypt. Therefore, God hardening Pharaoh's heart was not unjust. And okay, I get where they're going. We have one more paragraph. All right, I don't agree. I'll put that in the comment section for you guys to check out. But here's what I think. It's either God actually hardened Pharaoh's heart, right? Or it's a way of Moses describing Pharaoh's behavior. Either one of those two. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section. I'm very curious because I know this is a sort of controversial area, right? That people like to discuss. So yeah, let's discuss that in the comment section. I'd really like to hear your opinions. Let's keep going.
In the land of Egypt, but Pharaoh will not heed you, so that I may lay my hand on Egypt.
Okay, see, that's what I don't get. But Pharaoh will not heed you, so that I may lay my hand on Egypt and bring my armies and my people. All right, let's actually finish reading that. Because that's really going against my second point, my second thought, right? That it could be a way of Moses describing Pharaoh's behavior, because that language over there doesn't reflect that really. I think we're on this last paragraph, or the last sentence. The plagues, as terrible as they were, actually demonstrate God's mercy in not completely destroying Egypt, which would have been a perfectly just penalty. Don't agree. With Sodom and Gomorrah, everybody was a sinner over there, right? Lot was like, 50 people. Okay, 50 people. If there's 50 good people there, please spare it. And then God's like, okay, fine. And then he went, we talked about that. He's a horrible negotiator. He went 50 to 45 to 40 to 35, all the way down till 10, right? And God was like, yes, if there's just 10 there, I will spare it. And then we went over, and there was no 10. Literally everybody came to their house trying to assault the two angels. So, Sodom and Gomorrah were sort of lost. But see, what about all the children in Sodom and Gomorrah? Were they sinful? Were there children? There had to have been children, right? So how does that work also? Romans 9:17-18 declares, "For the scripture says to Pharaoh, I raise you up for this very purpose, that I might display my power in you, and that my name might be proclaimed in all the earth." All right. Okay. It's Romans 9:17-18. Wow, okay. Okay, so they're talking about what happened this is their interpretation, New Testament Jews' interpretation of what is written in Exodus. Their understanding. That's interesting. That's an interesting purview. For Scripture says to Pharaoh, now this is God talking to Pharaoh, I raised you up for this very purpose, that I might display my power in you, and that my name might be proclaimed in all the earth. So maybe it was God brought up this Pharaoh in a way so that his heart would be hard like rock, and he wouldn't budge, and he will have a stubborn temperament. So that knowing that this point in history will come where God can display his power across the earth and have his people witness what he can do. What do you guys think about that? Therefore, God has mercy on whom he wants to have mercy, and he hardens whom he wants to harden. From a human perspective, it seems wrong for God to harden a person and then punish the person that he has hardened. Biblically speaking, however, we have all sinned against God. That's what I'm saying. Yes. Okay, fine. If you want to use that logic and you punish Pharaoh and the taskmasters, right? But what about the children? Right? Because God created the Egyptians, right? God created the Egyptians. They're his children just as much as Abraham and his descendants. God created them, right? So why kill their firstborn? The penalty for that sin is death. Therefore, God hardening and punishing a person is not unjust. It is actually merciful in comparison to what the person deserves. Death. Yeah, Pharaoh is alive at the end, but what about the children, the firstborn? Not even children, they were men also, but they were children. I'm focusing on children because, they don't have much time to commit any serious sins, you know? Let me know what you think about that. I really want to know what you guys think about that. Let me know down in the comment section. I'd love to read those comments.
And bring...
I wish we had viewers, man. We can have a proper live discussion, you know? That would be so... And if you're watching this now, hopefully it is not too late and you can share this so we can start getting a little bit more live viewers and we can get proper discussions going on. That'll be really nice.
My armies and my people, the children of Israel, out of the land of Egypt by great judgments. And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, when I stretch out my hand on Egypt and bring out the children of Israel from among them.
Then Moses and Aaron did so, just as the Lord commanded them, so they did. And Moses was 80 years old, and Aaron 83 years old, when they spoke to Pharaoh. Then the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron.
When Pharaoh speaks to you, saying, "Show a miracle for yourselves," then you shall say to Aaron, "Take your rod, and cast it before Pharaoh, and let it become a serpent."
So Moses and Aaron went in to Pharaoh, and they did so, just as the Lord commanded. And Aaron cast down his rod before Pharaoh and before his servants, and it became a serpent. But Pharaoh also called the wise men and the sorcerers. So the magicians of Egypt, they also did in like manner with their enchantments.
How did they do that? I want to know how they did that. Does the Bible have any clue how they did that? The magicians with their enchantments. We do not know how, in or in what quantity the magicians produced frogs. Wait, I'm going way ahead. They produced frogs too? Okay. Where is this? 7-Eleven. Yeah, it's not, don't have anything. But, I mean, we can check this out. Yeah, no, they don't have anything. Let me look it up. How did they turn, how did the what were they called? Magicians and sorcerers of Egypt. How did the magicians of Egypt turn rods into snakes? GodandScience.org. Okay, I guess not. Okay, there are clues that they use sleight of hand and trickery, devoid of supernatural ability. Egyptians have long... Okay, we know that. Alright, serpents. Okay, cool. The magicians of Egypt in modern times have long celebrated adepts in charming serpents. And particularly by pressing the nape of the snake, they throw them into a kind of catalepsy, which renders them stiff and immovable. What? Thus seeming to change them into a rod. What? They conceal the serpent about their person, and by acts of legerdemain, produce it from their dress, stiff and straight as a rod. Just the same trick was played off by their ancient predecessors. And this has to be it. Ancient predecessors. And it so appears they succeeded by their enchantments in practicing an illusion on the senses. Okay, the reason why I'm saying this is most likely it, and would make a lot of sense, right? Because where we read this, right? And particularly by pressing the nape of the neck, they throw them into a kind of catalepsy, right? So by pressing the nape of the neck, it turns them stiff like a rod. But what did God tell Moses to do? He said, pick up the snake by the tail, and it turns back into a rod. So that's actually so God told him to do that so the reason why God could have told him to do that on purpose was because he knew these guys are doing this. And if Moses picked the snake up by the tail, he's not pressing the nape. So how is it turning into a rod? It has to be more than their trickery. That is cool. All right, I'm putting down this in the comment section too if you guys want to check that out. That's interesting.
His rod, and they became serpents. But Aaron's rod swallowed up their rods. And Pharaoh's heart grew hard, and he did not heed them as the Lord had said. So the Lord said to Moses,
Pharaoh's heart is hard. He refuses to let the people go. Go to Pharaoh in the morning when he goes out to the water, and you shall stand by the river's bank to meet him. And the rod which was turned to a serpent you shall take in your hand, and you shall say to him, The Lord God of the Hebrews has sent me to you, saying, Let my people go, that they may serve me in the wilderness.
God has a thing for the theatrics in this, right? He's doing the signs, right? And he's saying that Moses will be as God, right? Because he needs like a visual representation, right? And he's doing signs to get the people to witness his power, right? And he's saying take the same rod that you cast down and turn into a snake, right? Maybe to like showcase, like this rod has some power. Just to like, using the same rod. I feel like the reason why he specified the same rod has to be something like that, like something with the theatrics.
But indeed, until now, you would not hear. Thus says the serve me in the wilderness. But indeed, until now, you would not hear. Thus says the Lord, by this you shall know that I am the Lord. Behold, I will strike the waters which are in the river with the rod that is in my hand, and they shall be turned to blood. And the fish that are in the river shall die, the river shall stink, and the Egyptians...
Whoa. Remember, God was like, the third sign is... Did he do the... He didn't do the hand to leprosy. He showed the Israelites that. But he didn't show that to Pharaoh. But remember, God was like, just take some water from the Nile, from the river, pour it on the land, and I'll turn it into blood. Now he's like, all right, we're turning the whole river.
Egyptians will loathe to drink the water of the river.
Then the Lord spoke to Moses.
Say to Aaron, take your...
Don't they need water to make bricks?
Rod, and stretch out your hand over the waters of Egypt, over their streams, over their rivers, over their ponds, and over all their pools of water, that they may become blood. And there shall be blood throughout all the...
Maybe there's some other water source in Goshen. I don't know. We can look at a map.
Land of Egypt, both in buckets of wood and pitchers of stone.
Wow.
Blood.
Take your rod and stretch it out Take your rod and stretch out your hand over the waters of Egypt, over their streams, over their rivers, over their ponds, and over all their pools of water, that they may become blood. See, even if you have a bucket of water that turned into blood, holy.
Throughout all the land of Egypt, both in buckets of wood and pitchers of stone.
Moses and Aaron did so,
not just the Nile,
as the Lord commanded.
Water.
So he lifted up the rod and struck the waters that were in the river, in the sight of Pharaoh and in the sight of his servants. And all the waters that were in the river were turned to blood.
All the waters that were in the river turned to blood. So maybe meaning like the Nile was their source of water. And all the streams came off from the Nile, so they also turned into blood. All the water that they collected from the Nile was obviously blood. So maybe in that sense. Or was literally every body of water, because they said ponds too, right?
Streams.
Yeah, ponds, rivers, streams, pools of water, everything.
So he lifted up the rod and struck the waters that were in the river, in the sight of Pharaoh and in the sight of his servants. And all the waters that were in the river were turned to blood. The fish that were in the river died. The river stank, and the Egyptians could not drink the water of the river. So there was blood throughout all the land of Egypt. Then the magicians of Egypt did so with their enchantments, and Pharaoh's heart grew hard, and he did not heed them, as the Lord had said. And Pharaoh turned and went into his house, neither was his heart moved by this. So all the Egyptians dug all around the river for water to drink, because they could not drink the water of the river. And 7 days passed after the Lord had struck the river.
Okay, so I'm guessing it wasn't literally all the water in Egypt, right? Because they just dug for water, so just the river and the streams that flew from the river and ponds that may have formed from the Nile. Okay. So that is it. We just finished chapter 7. Tomorrow we're going to jump into chapter 8, where we're going into the second plague. and let's see if we'll probably make our way through all the plagues tomorrow, if we have time. So yeah, that was it for today. Thank you guys for watching, and we had some good discussions. I'm gonna put those in the links to those articles in the description so you can check those out, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.